Good afternoon, everyone, and I want to thank Mr. Bibbs and members of the Ohio District Caucus for inviting us all here today to acknowledge our candidacy for mayor here in the city of East Cleveland. But to tell you a little bit about myself, many of you have heard the story, and perhaps some have not, since this is one that's going to be aired as well. Again, my name is Dr. Joy Jordan. I've been a practicing dentist here for 25 years here in the city of East Cleveland. I have a long, rich history of providing this type of leadership here in the city of East Cleveland, providing this type of dentistry to the residents of East Cleveland and the greater Cleveland community for that matter. My family, though, has been here for 40 years. My father practiced dentistry here at Jordan Dental Center. My mother is an educator. She actually taught at Chambers Elementary School, the old Taylor Chambers rather, and the old Superior Elementary School. And so my history is deep here, it's grounded here in this community, and so my desire 25 years to come back to Cleveland and to transplant myself in East Cleveland was because I wanted to be closer to the residents of East Cleveland. At the age of 28, I was sought out by members of East Cleveland School Board, where they sought me for a candidate to fill in a vacancy on the school board. And so I did that for 14 years, elected 3 times, and served as the president of East Cleveland City Council during during the time when Shaw High School was underway, when we had the facility project of $108 million, where we brought in new construction, where we brought in development, where we brought in the individual needed minority participation slightly, but yet we did bring those in so that we could build what we have today, a new standing building, energy efficient, ready to meet the challenges of education, and that is both Shaw High School, Heritage Middle School, and the other elementary schools, Superior Elementary School, Caledonia Elementary School, and Cleveland Heights Prospect Elementary School was also redesigned, and Mayfair Elementary School, and of course in Chambers as well. And so you'll see that I've had a rich history in providing that type of leadership, being not just focused on education, but also looking at what our infrastructure, what we needed at that particular time to actually move our school district forward. And I'm proud of those accomplishments as well. Now, 8 years I have served on the city council. 4 as president. I bring a group of leadership, or bring leadership here today that are here, and I'm proud to have them here, and thank you for your attendance here today. But that leadership is not just because I was the best candidate. It was because we needed to have someone who had a voice, who was willing to negotiate, willing to be an asset, and to work hand in hand with all different facets, all different personalities in our school, in our city council. So I believe I've managed to do just that, to work in harmony with each member of council. So I am a team player, and that's what you need in leadership. You need to have someone who has a voice, but who's also a team player. That's not a big I person, but one that's willing to get along and work for the betterment of our cause, and that is to push our city forward. I want you to also know that I take this position very seriously. My desire to run and be the next mayor of East Cleveland doesn't come by happenstance. I've put in the work to be the mayor of East Cleveland, and I look forward to that opportunity to serve you, not just as its first African-American female mayor elected here in the city of East Cleveland, but someone who is about to make the change that's needed for the 21st century. Gone should be the days where we just use paper, but we have to be a lot more technology-driven today to meet the needs of our future. And we're not there yet, but we should have been, considering that we had at least $8 million from what we received from Huron Hospital. So there should have been some tangible things in the process for us to focus and run the day-to-day operations as we've not been able to do. So one of the areas that I'd like to focus on is our website and our technology for the 21st century. And the way I hope to do this, and so I can give you some of my ideals as mayor of the city of East Cleveland, I like to, 1, address the issues of transparency and accountability. My desire is to not just be a mayor that sits on the sidelines, but to use the technology, use what others younger than myself have to offer, so we can build build upon the city of East Cleveland and make our departments more focused and more driven and more accountable for our acts. And so one of the areas we'll address is our fixed fiscal structure here in East Cleveland, our finances. I just met with Josh Mandel, the Secretary, or excuse me, the State Treasurer's Office, State Treasurer rather, and his plan is to actually look at the actual day-to-day operation and put online the actual finances of the state of Ohio. And I think if it's good enough for the state treasurer, it's good enough for the city of East Cleveland. All of our records should be on the computer. It should be technology accessible to you, the taxpayers, so that you know where our dollars are working. So our statements, our departmental activities should all be available to you so you can see, not just at a finance meeting, but at any time you'd like to turn on your computer, you should be able to see how your dollars are working for you. And so bringing to light our technology to enhance our finances would be one of my issues. But in order to do that, you have to have the software. It's going to cost over $100,000 for the new software to actually run our city appropriately. As you know, that we've had auditors who reported that our books are not auditable. It needs the proper software. And that's what I hope to bring to the city of East Cleveland. The new software, the technology to accompany that so that we have the transparency so there's no doubt how our money is being spent. We have to look at ways in which we can use our technology in other ways for building permits, for housing issues that we have, housing court costs. All those things should be technology driven at this point, and they're not. We should be on the computer as in other municipalities. And that's my hope is when I say I want to bring East Cleveland to the 21st century. I also have to tell you this, I've experienced some issues with the law most recently as relates to our charter. Our charter is antiquated, it's old, it's outdated, it's non-functional. And so we have to look at our codified ordinances, we have to look at our charter, we have to convene, and the mayor convenes the Charter Review Commission, and that would be my job as mayor of the city of East Cleveland, to reconvene the Charter Review, to look at our laws, to bring them up to speed, bring them up to date, so that we have what we need in order to function appropriately with the correct laws here in the city of East Cleveland. So that's something. You have to start with your laws that govern how you operate in the city, and you can't just let it stay in a book. You have to then use the internet, use your community forums to actually go out and educate your consumers and your residents about the new laws in our city, as well as you have to educate your employees. They have to be apprised of the laws in our city in order to best serve you, the residents of East Cleveland. We have to consolidate departments. One of the areas that I talked about when you talk about streamlining expenses, we have to look at our departments here in the city of East Cleveland. There has to be, if I were your mayor, and it's my intent to be, we have to look at bringing about a new public service department, a public works department. We have to bring a new community development department. We have to consolidate departments. We have to bring a new information technology department. Finally, we're on. But those are issues that I hope to bring to consolidate the various departments here in the city of East Cleveland. Recycling. Think green, everyone. Let's not be the last to look at issues surrounding recycling as we've not done here in the city of East Cleveland. There's a lot of money in recycling. Everyone way to use our transfer station to get additional revenue into the city as well. Community development block grant dollars. My focus of my campaign will not be on demolition, because we have to refurbish, revitalize, rebuild this community, and that's my desire, to rebuild East Cleveland. Yes, we have to demolish those that are abandoned to the point of no return. But there are other structures that we can salvage. There are people who have approached council and approached, and you've had your dialogue, how we can actually utilize certain buildings and give them $4. Or there may be a lower fee to gather some property for the purpose of refurbishing and rebuilding our community, because our population is dwindling. Now I tell you, there's also the Purple Heart program through the VA down the street, where you can actually donate these homes and they will fix it up. We will still be whole. We'll still have a beautiful structure that you can actually salvage and bring the population back to East Cleveland. But you can donate your property. And there are properties that beyond donating, there are other dollars that we can actually reach out to the VA hospital that will refurbish those properties at no cost and place veterans in those properties, because you know that those war victims are coming back home. Our veterans are coming back home. And with our VA hospital located so close, we have a vet here today, that's an option for us, and we have to utilize that. When it comes to small businesses, it's my desire as a business person, and have been one in East Cleveland, to see access to health care, to see the return of medical doctors that look like me, physicians, dentists that look like me, and you see an optician here in the city of East Cleveland, outside of Neon, which, by the way, does not have an optical care there at the current state. But we need those businesses back in East Cleveland. I've heard, but I've also been a part of this too. I've been in East Cleveland beyond the 25 years. I saw the bowling alleys, the pool tables. I saw the paddle boats out here in our beautiful park, Forest Hills Park. I saw the 2 supermarkets, 5 Wheelers and A&P. I saw the other things that make a city whole, the theaters. We need all of that back, but it's going to take us working together and coming up with a strategic plan, looking at the strategic plan by the city, by the county, and working in harmony with one another to make it a reality. So community development, yes, that's at the top of my priority. We can no longer continue using dollars just for demolition. We have to use it to refurbish, to rebuild our community. When you look at the green space in East Cleveland, we have a beautiful green space that's now the site of the former Huron Hospital. What are we going to use that space for? We have to come up with a plan, not a plan created by me, the mayor. It has to be one that I have my counselors, Councilor Martin, Councilor Barbara J. Thomas, and others at the table, and our school district. We need to find out how we're going to use this particular time. Oh, I didn't hear the bus.
We get there. Remember, this is the off-Broadway.
Thank you.
Mr. Richard, good to see you. Help me with the time, will you? Mayor Norton.
Thank you.
12:56.
It's great to be here today. Beautiful Saturday, and I know that we would not be wanting to do anything other than be here with one another for this all important purpose. And 4 years ago, I sat before groups like this, and some of you. 4 years ago was such a fun time. We were all friends. And I remember Joy's name being on my literature as someone who supports me, and I remember Nathaniel Martin and Barbara Thomas, and all the members of council being my friends. And I was watching a few old council meetings not too long ago. Joy Jordan gave speeches about what a great mayor I am. So many things have changed. But the reality is that East Cleveland is an interesting place, full of wonderful and amazing people. And